Hello and welcome to Machine Learning Exercises. This is the complementary course to Lectures in Machine Learning. My name is Jonathan Fahler and I'm the teacher of this course. I'm an assistant at the chair of statistics, which is the chair of Professor Ogrin. If you haven't had a look at the lectures, please always watch the lectures first and then come to the exercises, because the exercises will be largely based on the lectures. A little bit about me. As I said, I'm an assistant at the chair of statistics and I research in the field of machine learning and finance. My academic background is actually in economics and I studied in Munich and at the Heidelberg University. If you have any questions, you can just send them to my email, which you can see here. But I also posted it to DigiCampus, so you don't have to type it right now. However, I would prefer it if you would post any questions regarding the course material to DigiCampus, to the forums, because then everybody gets a chance to have a look at the answers. About the organization of the course, I will upload the exercises with the instructions on Monday, with the exception of the first Monday, 2nd of November, because this is actually the date when I upload this video. So there won't be any solutions for the coming Friday. But after that, every Monday there will be the exercises, the instructions of the exercises, and on Friday I will upload the solutions in form of a video normally, and also as Jupyter Notebook. A Jupyter Notebook is what you can see right now, but I will I will explain it in depth later. What will we do in this course? We will apply and explore the algorithms and concepts from the lecture, and we will do this by programming in R. There will also be some manual calculations and drawing graphs and explanations, which you have to do, but mostly we will work in Jupyter Notebooks and code in R. So as I already said, please post any questions to the forums in DigiCampus, and if there's something that you don't want to post, you can send it to my email. What will we do in this first session? I will show you how you can download the Anaconda distribution, which comes with a lot of packages, including R and Python, and different programs like, for example, Jupyter Notebook or Spider. Then I will show you what actually a Jupyter Notebook is and how to work with it. So, if you want to download Anaconda, you have to go to anaconda.com. Oops, not the docs. Okay, anaconda.com. And here you can already see that you can get started by clicking on Get Started, then install Anaconda Individual Edition, download, and then download the version you need for your operating system. Anaconda is totally free and open source, so don't worry about anything. Just get your version and install it. I already installed it, so I guess you can do that alone. Once you've installed it, search for the Anaconda navigator on your device, which should look like this. So as you can see, inside the Anaconda navigator, you can just launch Jupyter Notebook. But you don't want to do this yet, because you will be most likely in the base environment, and that runs on Python. So go to environment and create a new environment. just enter the name here and click on R. And you can also install Python, for example, version 3.7. We won't use it in this course, but maybe you want to experiment with it. You can do it as you wish. So enter a name, click on create, and you will create a new environment. Once you've created the environment, for me it's R and Pi here, just click on this play button and open with Jupyter Notebook. And this might take a second, but then it should open a new Jupyter Notebook inside the browser. So this is the environment here. And although this is opened in the browser, it actually runs locally on your machine, which you can see over here where it says localhost 8952. And the directory you can see here, all these files are actually locally on my PC. So in fact, when you later want to upload your the first Jupyter Notebook, which I provide, you can do this by clicking here upload and then direct to the directory where you stored the file and then just upload it. Sometimes it will appear here in the first line, and then you also have to click once again on upload. But that actually won't upload anything to the internet. It will just move it to this directory so you can use it inside Jupyter Notebook. So I already said these are all folders here on my directory, and these are actually the notebooks here, and these are just other files. So but let's create a new notebook. So if you want to create a new notebook, you can click up here, new, and then select whatever we want to create. For example, a Python file, so a Python notebook file, or R notebook file, text file, folder, and so on. But let's stick with the R notebook. So just click on it, and it automatically opens the notebook in a new tab. So as you can see, it's pretty empty right now. We will change this in a second, but let's change the title first because it still is untitled. So let's say it's session 1 and say rename. And if we go now back to the home page and scroll down, we can see that this little notebook here lights up, and this is session 1 where we currently work at. We could now also scroll up and click on running and see that session 1 is now running. We could shut it down here, but we want to work in it, so let's go back to files. And now let's go back to session 1, I mean, and we are back in our notebook. Okay, so let's first talk about the cell here. So you call this a cell. You can code inside this cell. For example, we can write 2 plus 2, which would be basically R code. And if we click on run, this cell will execute and the output will be printed below the cell, or returned rather. Now it will create a new cell below automatically when you run, but you can also create more cells by clicking on this plus. You can save by clicking on save. You can delete cells by clicking on the scissors, copy cells, paste these cells, navigate through these cells, run the cells, interrupt the whole kernel, restart the kernel, and restart and run the whole notebook, and so on. Basically, or it would be easier if you just click through all the options yourself and have a look at it. because this would now take too much time, and I think nobody could remember it anyways. Let's come to this little button here. And if you click on it, you will get a list of all the hotkeys. And hotkeys are very useful because when you work inside the notebook, you don't want to scroll up and click the buttons. You want basically just click the hotkeys. And for example, if I've selected this cell and I click B, it will be the hotkey for insert another cell below, or A above, or double D, for example, is deleting a cell. If I, for example, click M while I selected the whole cell, it will create a markdown. You've also seen here that it changed from code to markdown. A markdown cell is basically just, as it says, a markdown. So I can write anything I want inside here. For example, this is a markdown, and if I run it, it will just show the text. I could also do bullet points, point 1, point 2, point 3, and now let's just execute this, and it passes an error message because this is not a markdown cell, this is a code cell. So I need to convert this first and then run it, and now it shows the bullet points. So you might wonder why you need markdown cells. Well, they are pretty useful if you want to document stuff and build basically a document which you can go back to and revisit and see your code and see your markdowns and reflect on things and go through it again. And especially if you have a longer process where you have to come back every week or every other day, then you want to have everything nice and orderly. And a Jupyter notebook is pretty useful when it comes to structuring this machine learning process. For example, I can also insert a cell here above, convert it to a markdown, and if I use a hash now, I can say, for example, session 1, run it, and now it's a heading. And if I use two markdowns in a if I use two hashes in a markdown cell, let's say sub1, it will basically do a smaller heading. I could also use more than 2, and then it gets even smaller, as you can see. So that's also nice to structure the whole notebook. I think it will get clearer over time how this is useful for your workflow, but I want to show you a quick demo that I've prepared. So we'll go back to the home page and I'll open the demo. So, and as you can see, this now is looks pretty clean. I'll just scroll through it because I think this shows how good you can revisit your notebooks, basically. You have all the headings that describe basically what you do below. So here are some examples for code cells. For example, I defined here 2 vectors and passed them to 2 variables. Then I defined this variable as the sum, and you can see that it's a vector by just running a cell with the variable itself. Same goes for this matrix, and it also shows that how easy it is to just see whether your code above is correct. because you can just easily execute it and have a look at it and go back to it if you want to revisit it. You can use comments by hashing inside of code cells. So as you already know, if you use a hash in a markdown cell, then it will create a heading like here. The markdowns are quite useful, as I already explained. So maybe a quick example of a little pieces of code here. If I want to install packages in Jupyter Notebook, I can use the install packages command, just like in RStudio. So install.packages and then the package name. I do this here again for the dplyr library, and I can import these libraries by the library command. And by importing this library, which is normally used for data manipulation, I also imported the iris dataset, and this dataset, or I can have a look at the first values of this dataset by using the head command, which you might remember from statistics. And this shows me right below the command the first data points of the whole data set. And I can plot it, for example, with the plot command, just to show you how it's all plotted right below the cells and how easy it is to actually go back and revisit your code and the output of the code. And now if something is as big as this, I can also shrink it a little bit to have a to be able to scroll faster through my notebook and don't get caught up in a big return like this. So last thing is I can also implement LaTeX in a Jupyter notebook, and it's very easy. I can basically just write my LaTeX code inside a markdown cell, and if I run it, it will show it. And I think it will be very useful in this course because I want to go back to some functions like MSE and show it to you inside the notebooks, and this will make it very handy. Yeah, I think this will be the gist of it. So basically you can turn off now, except for I have a little goodie for you, which is the same thing basically for Python. So, oops, wrong file. It won't be necessary, but if you want to have a look at it in Python, there are even more possibilities. So yeah, this will show you even more how easy it is to structure things. So it looks like a real file or notebook, which I am happy to revisit at some point because I have my headings, I have my descriptions here in the markdowns. Everything is orderly. Here's the code, there are the outputs. I have the plots in line, and yeah, also works with LaTeX, as you can see. I can execute, and that's very nice, shell commands from inside the notebook, which just lost connection, but that's okay. I can implement URLs like here. So as you can see, there's a vast amount of possibilities for the use of these notebooks. Here is an integration of a PDF, and here of a YouTube video. Some of you might know this gentleman. Exactly. So I think I only showed you a piece of it, a little bit of the possibilities what can be done in a Jupyter notebook, and I think it will be very useful for the course. I hope you will enjoy working with it. I certainly do, and I bet you can find much more tricks on the internet if you search a little bit for it regarding Jupyter notebooks. Now for the next session, you will actually upload the Jupyter notebook to your directory. So when you go on DigiCampus and then download the file that I will provide, you can upload it here on the upload button and then work inside the Jupyter notebook with it. Okay, so I think that's all. If you have any questions, please post them to the forums in DigiCampus or send them to my email. Until next time, bye bye.